Martin Scorsese is one of the most recognizable names in the history of cinema. I mean, this guy's been pumping out hits for 50 years. And by hits, I don't just mean critical darlings or box office smashes, although most of his movies are those things. I'm talking about groundbreaking filmmaking. Movies that people still reference, watch, and hold in high regard to this day. I mean, this list could very well be the top 25 films of his career, considering the fact that certified fresh classics like Cape Fear, Casino, and Wolf of Wall Street don't even sniff the top 10. And by the way, number 10 is at 89% certified fresh on the tomato meter. Number 10. So take your places as we roll cameras on the 10 best Scorsese movies ranked by tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. Number 10, The King of Comedy. This 1983 satirical black comedy marked the director's fifth collab with Robert De Niro, who starred alongside Jerry Lewis and Sandra Bernhard. Exploring themes like celebrity worship and media culture in America, Robert plays a struggling wannabe comedian named Rupert, who becomes obsessed with a successful TV host and comedian played by Lewis. Now, Rupert goes to the extreme of abducting this man that he's been stalking in hopes of earning a spot on his TV show.
Will you please give your warmest welcome to the newest King of Comedy, Rupert Pupkin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rupert Pupkin. I was born in Clifton, New Jersey, which was not at that time a federal offense.
De Niro actually studied stand-ups for months in preparation for this part and declined a lunch with his co-star Lewis because Bob's character was actually supposed to be ready to kill Jerry's character for his big chance, and he didn't really want to mess with that vibe. I mean, I'd say that's probably one of the only acceptable reasons to flake out on lunch. Now, Scorsese, who has a habit of making cameos in his movies, appears as a TV director, but also included his parents and sister in a couple small parts, along with members of The Clash. I mean, how does one get on the adoption list of this family? Number 9, Taxi Driver. Director Scorsese and star De Niro were coming off the highly acclaimed Mean Streets from '73, so the pressure was on for this one, and they certainly delivered. Filming took place in New York City during a summer heat wave and a sanitation strike, while actors actually took pay cuts to help get it made. De Niro prepared for his role by working as a cab driver late at night in New York City, and also, I guess, by talking to himself in the mirror.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking to? Talking to me?
Iconic. I know that word is so overused, but it truly applies here. Taxi Driver also featured a 12-year-old Jodie Foster who underwent psychological testing and met with a psychiatrist to ensure that she wouldn't be emotionally scarred by the role. Her older sister, Connie Foster, was 19 at the time and actually served as Jodie's body double for the more racy scenes. And due to that casting and the film's graphic violence, it nearly earned an X rating until Scorsese desaturated the color in the final shootout scene just to get it bumped to an R. Fascinating. Number 8, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Coming early in Scorsese's feature film career, this movie remains a bit of an outlier still to this day, considering it's a romantic dramedy that focuses on a female lead. And that lead is Ellen Burstyn, who won an Oscar for this role as a widow who takes her tween son on a road trip across the southwestern United States to try and find a better life than the one that they were living.
For God's sake, do something about that kid! Turn that damn thing down!
I'm sorry, Don.
Yeah, now keep it off. You're gonna drive us deaf.
Do you want me to have a fight with them? Huh? How are we supposed to have a meaningful family relationship when he's on the verge of killing you half the time?
Ellen later said that working with a young Marty was, quote, one of the best experiences she ever had in Hollywood, which is pretty high praise from a legend. And fun fact, the movie actually inspired the long-running CBS sitcom Alice, which had one actor, Vic Tayback, who plays Mel, the diner owner, reprise his role from the film. Number 7, The Departed. This crime thriller is both a remake of the 2002 Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs and is loosely based on the real-life Boston Winter Hill Gang and crime boss Whitey Bulger. It could have one of the best male casts in movies like ever, with Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Marky Mark, Alec Baldwin, Martin Sheen, you get it. And of course, Vera Farmiga is also amazing in this. Now, story-wise, there's both a rat inside the criminal organization and an informant inside the police force, and it's basically a race to see who can flush one or the other out. And let's just say that rats can be pretty annoying to some people.
I got this rat, this annoying, key-eating rat. And it brings up questions. You know, see, Bill, like, you're the new guy. Girlfriend. Why don't you stay in the bar that night I got your numbers?
Clearly, not a big fan of rats. Now, Brad Pitt was actually supposed to play opposite Leo, but he decided that a younger actor should do it, so they got Matt Damon, and Brad Pitt stayed on as a producer. And good thing, because this movie won Best Picture and Best Director for Scorsese at the Oscars, making it Marty's first and only Academy Award. What? Make it make sense. Number 6, Raging Bull. This biographical sports drama is based on boxing champ Jake LaMotta's 1970 memoir, with Robert De Niro starring as the boxer. Now, it covers his rise and fall in the world of boxing that was fueled by rage and jealousy. I was surprised to find out that Scorsese actually turned this one down a bunch of times, mostly because he's not a big boxing or sports guy. It wasn't until a near-deadly drug overdose that the director began to identify with the story and realize that the boxing ring can be an allegory for anything in life.
Hurting LaMotta. He's hurting him now. He has LaMotta on Clear Street, holding on. Well, certainly that was one of the most damaging evidences of punching that you have seen in recent years. Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
Ouch. Along with taking a beating, or at least sitting in a makeup chair to get that appearance, De Niro gained around 60 pounds to play Jake in his later years. And it all paid off because Bob won an Oscar for his efforts. Although it lost out on the Best Picture trophy, it was gradually recognized as arguably the best films of the 80s and considered possibly one of the best ever. Crazy how that happens. Wow, my friends, we are halfway to number 1. For those of you with short-term memory loss, I feel you. Here is a recap. Number 10 was The King of Comedy. Number 9 was Taxi Driver. Number 8 was Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Number 7, The Departed. And number 6 was Raging Bull. Some pretty iconic ones have already been checked off, so what exactly is left? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know. In 3, 2, 1. Number 5, Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this Western crime drama, and the most recent movie on this list, is based on the 2017 novel of the same name by David Grann. It tells the story of a series of murders in the Osage Nation of Oklahoma in the 1920s after oil was found on tribal land. Now, this marks Scorsese's 6th time working with Leonardo DiCaprio and 10th with Robert De Niro. Although, get this, it's actually the first feature film with all 3 of them together. Those 2 lead a cast that also includes Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, John Lithgow, and Brendan Fraser. Gladstone has said that the input of the Osage Nation ended up greatly changing Scorsese's original vision of the film for the better. And it's not just the critics who like this one, with an audience score at 85%. The general vibe from moviegoers is that they love the acting, cinematography, and the powerful story. The people have spoken. Number 4, Hugo. A very far cry from the dark and gritty fare that Scorsese is known for, this adventure drama follows an orphan boy who lives in the walls of a 1930s Paris train station. Now, while his job is maintaining the station's clocks, his focus becomes to solve the mystery of an automaton that his late father left him. It's got a stellar cast that includes Jude Law, Ben Kingsley, Chloe Grace Moretz, and Asa Butterfield as the boy named Hugo. This was Scorsese's first 3D film, which intrigued him because he felt the actors were even more upfront emotionally, with even their slightest moves more noticeable. Despite a season-high 11 Oscar nominations and a critics' consensus that calls it, quote, an extravagant, elegant fantasy, Hugo was considered a box office flop, mostly because it was up against Disney's The Muppets and a Twilight movie. But hey, it made its way onto this list, and what more do you really need? Number 3, Goodfellas. Based on the 1985 nonfiction book Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi, who co-wrote the screenplay with Scorsese, this 1990 film chronicles the rise and fall of mob associate Henry Hill from 1955 to 1980, with Ray Liotta as Henry. He was joined by Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, who won an Oscar for the part, by the way, and the three of them would meet with Nicholas to actually get more info beyond what's in his book to help their performances. I mean, I'd personally love to ask him how to walk through a restaurant when you're in the mob and look like a badass.
And then there was Pete the Killer, who was Sally Balls' brother.
I took care of that thing for you.
Then you had Nicky Eyes.
What's up, guy?
And Mikey Francesi.
That guy, yeah, I want to see him.
And Jimmy Two Times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm gonna go get the papers,
Scorsese was actually not interested in doing another mobster movie, surprisingly, but ended up being drawn to Pileggi's book because of its honest portrayal of gangsters. Now, when it came to filming, Martin would let the actors ad-lib during rehearsals and then take lines that he liked from those and put them back into the script for final filming. Not a bad way to piece together what would become one of the most iconic films ever made in the gangster genre, or just ever, and I'm not trying to be funny like a clown. Number 2, Mean Streets. Now, you could almost call this one 1B on our list, since it technically has the same tomato meter score, just with a slightly lower audience score than our number 1. This wasn't Scorsese's first feature, but it was one of the first that he really had a hand in when it comes to story and writing. And not only did it help put him on the map after being a critical and commercial success, it was actually the first ever collaboration between him and Robert De Niro. I think that deserves a slow clap.
Where's the rest?
Yeah, where's the rest?
Well, I bought a few rounds of drinks over here while I was waiting, you know what I mean? Tony says my credit ain't no good no more.
Marty was actually looking to make a film inspired by his own experiences, and he leaned on things that he witnessed during his childhood growing up in Little Italy in New York City. Now, Harvey Keitel also stars in Mean Streets, and the critics call it a, quote, powerful tale of urban sin and guilt, which is also a good way to describe my past weekend. Number 1, The Irishman. Based on the biography of Frank the Irishman Sheeran by Charles Brandt, this movie stars Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa and Robert De Niro as his friend and alleged murderer, hitman Frank Sheeran. It is a pretty great pair to be around, I'm sure, unless, of course, you're late for a meeting.
You're late.
What?
You're late.
And it was traffic.
Yeah, it's traffic.
Wasn't it traffic?
Yeah, give me
It was
traffic.
traffic. What do you want from us? It was bumper to fucking bumper.
Yeah, no, it's bad, you know.
Traffic. I never waited for anyone who was late more than 10 minutes in my life.
And while this was the 9th team-up for De Niro and Scorsese, it was shockingly the first time the director worked with Pacino. He also got Joe Pesci out of semi-retirement to get back in front of the camera. Thank the universe. And Harvey Keitel, Anna Paquin, Bobby Cannavale, Jesse Plemons, and Ray Romano have supporting roles. I mean, talk about an all-star team. The Irishman makes heavy use of de-aging CGI, so the stars could play younger versions of their characters for part of the movie, which actually caused the budget to keep going up. But the question is, did it work? Well, it's on this list as number 1, so I guess I'd say so. Well, friends, whether you came for the great stories, terrific acting, or glorious eyebrows, good times were had. I mean, seriously, Martin Scorsese has the best eyebrows. For more on all these movies that we discussed today, be sure to hit up RottenTomatoes.com. Thanks for checking out today's lists. Until next time, I'm Naz Perez, and we'll see you back here for more Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.